morning. Welcome to our weekly broadcast of the Joshua and IGINLA book review. This week will be a continuation from the book, The Force of Destiny, with our most esteemed Papa Joshua and IGINLA. We'll be continuing on with the chapter 4 of our most esteemed book, The Force of Destiny. It's called Divine Connection for Destiny Fulfillment. Last week, we were able to go over a couple of points that our most esteemed brought forth in the book. It's called Understanding Uncommon Destiny Helpers. With this section of the book, he's been able to explain to us certain types of destiny helpers that you should be able to recognize so that they may work for you, so that life may be easy for you. Last week, we talked about divine connectors, and this week we'll go on further into another type of destiny helper from the book, The Force of Destiny. The next type of uncommon destiny helper that our most esteemed Papa Joshua and IGINLA brings to our attention is gatekeepers of a nation. He says that gatekeepers of a nation are like divine connectors, but they have what you're looking for and can help you access that which belongs to you and your generation. Our most esteemed recognizes he puts that word separate and says access. They bring you access. You see, gatekeeper of a nation can open the door that was never open to a land that you've been there for 50 years. Whether you know it or not, there are many who have lived, whether 50, 40, 27, 16 years, and the gates of that nation have not been open to them. Our most esteemed is explaining to us, he said there is one who can bring you access into that land, who can bring ease into your life. He goes on to say that not only is it for you, but for your generations to come. Brothers and sisters, he says that these type of uncommon destiny helpers, they do what? They bring influence, they bring ability, and also connections to bring you to your next level. He's speaking to a particular type of person. He's saying that even in your life, if you're feeling as if there's stagnancy, if there's no movement in your life, you need someone that can open that gate, that has the key to the nation in which you're in. Brothers and sisters, whether you know it or not, even here, we're located in the United States of America. There is one who has the key to the nation of America. Has it been open unto you? Has it been open unto your generation? Don't live life not knowing if there can be ease. What is taking another many years is what is taking someone just a couple of minutes. Why? Because the gates of that nation have been open unto them. Our most esteemed explains even further. He says that just by one introduction from this type of destiny helper, he says it brings you into the acceptance of greatness. If you want to see greatness in your life, you need this uncommon destiny helper to be there in your life. Why? Because they are the ones that have the key to greatness. He says a word from them, it even trumps an appointment letter, even it trumps an interview. It trumps any of those ideas, brothers and sisters. He's saying that it brings you to quarters where it takes other people credentials to enter. It opens a whole new arena of life. That is the favor of God that's working. Why? This uncommon destiny helper is called a gatekeeper of a nation. A gatekeeper of a nation. Sometimes when we see our most esteemed do deliverance, you'll see that a nation hasn't been open to someone. Why? They say you've lived here for 50 years, but suffrage. You've lived here for 75 years, but poverty. You've lived here for 27 years, but you've cried every day. Why? Because the gates of the nation have not been opened unto you. You see, in this aspect of the book, our most esteemed is revealing to us that there can be ease in your life. But you need this destiny helper to work in your life. They need to open this door for you. Brothers and sisters, do not live in a nation that has not been open to you. That is a nation that will be what? It will be laborious unto you. Where someone will be working for 50 years and have nothing to show but a plaque. That means the key of that nation has not been open. It's not about having a green card. It's not about having a visa. It's not about having citizenship. You could have been born in this land and still not have the gates of the nation open unto you. You see, it's not about physical things. There is a spiritual aspect that our most esteemed is opening onto us. He's saying that, yes, you may have entered into a land legally, but the fact of the matter is that how come you feel as if a castaway? How come you feel as if there's no opportunities? Because this gatekeeper of a nation has not seen you. Brothers and sisters, this is a beautiful part that our most esteemed is opening to our eyes. He's saying it's not about being a legal citizen to a nation. He's saying there is one who has that key that can open the gates of opportunity to a land where business opportunities can be at hand for you, where academic opportunities can be at hand for you, where marital opportunities can be at hand for you, where even financial opportunities can be at hand for you. You see, this land and the lands that we are all from across the nations, they all have plenty of opportunities flying over our heads, but have you received them? Have you been able to take hold of that which is yours? Well, the gatekeeper of a nation can assist you with that. Brothers and sisters, there was a great man of God in the Bible named Joseph. And brothers and sisters, whether you know it or not, they called him the prime minister of prime ministers. He exceeded authority. When authority was being placed in and taken out, he was still there. Well, it goes to show you, if you know the beginning of Joseph's story, he was still cast into a prison at a time. He was still put jealousy and hatred was upon him. But you see, there was a gatekeeper of a nation named Pharaoh that opened that door for him, where he could see not just opportunities in the land like a regular citizen. No, he came to the realms of authority. He came to the corridor of life that even many who sat on the seat passed him by, and he still sat in that seat of authority. That goes to show you, brothers and sisters, it had nothing to do with qualifications, because at the end of the day, he was a prisoner at the time. He was still once an inmate. It has nothing to do about your current state. It has to do who is your gatekeeper of your nation. And have they seen you? Have they recommended you? Have they pulled you up from the realms of dirt and onto the corridor of authority? Brothers and sisters, that is what our most esteemed is bringing onto us. This knowledge that he's bringing onto us is to lift us from the realms of poverty, from the realms of dirt, from the realms of castaway, from the realms of burdens, and onto a life of ease. The gatekeeper of a nation brings forth ease. They bring forth majesty. They bring forth authority. They allow you to see a quarter of life that you would have never seen, if not by the reason of this encounter with this gatekeeper. You need that for your life. You need that for your generation. Do not raise a generation that has been held bound by the corridors of a nation. Be free by the reason of this message. Our most esteemed is bringing that to us because he's stating to us, that's what you need. You that doesn't have citizenship right now, he's saying this is what you need. Not a piece of paper. You need the gatekeeper of this nation to open up the doors. You that has been laboring on for 65 years with 3 children, he said you need the gatekeeper of a nation to clear away those tears and let you see the riches of life. Brothers and sisters, I was blessed personally by this. It doesn't matter by citizenship. It doesn't matter by legal residence. It matters who has the key to a nation and do they desire to give it to you. Have you found this uncommon destiny helper? Amen. Honestly, brothers and sisters, this should tell you something. Even in the life of Joseph, do you know that he was not even from that land? Brothers and sisters, even in corridors that you were not even from. If they tell you right now, hey, you, brother, hey, you, sister, in France, we want to give you the realms of authority. But you're saying, I'm not a citizen. Even in America, to be the president of the United States, they say you have to be a citizen. You have to be a born, naturalized American. That means you have to be born in the land. But who can tell but a gatekeeper of a nation to open that door? Well, we can see a president who is not a naturalized citizen, who was not born in this land, but the Lord brought them to that rising, right? Due to the gatekeeper of a nation favoring them. It brought ease. It brought greatness. It brought majesty to their households. Our most esteemed is bringing this knowledge to bring you majesty, to bring you greatness, to make sure that you see that in your home, your generations to come. Amen. Continuing on, he goes on forth with another type of uncommon destiny helper. He explains the gifted. He said these are a group of destiny helpers who are highly skillful in their chosen professions. They're talented and they're gifted. He said when they come into your life, there's 3 things that they also bring. They bring gifts, they bring talents, they bring skills to help you accomplish God's purpose. That is their sole purpose, is that in which God has given them as a skill is to help you fulfill your destiny. He said, for one, if you think about it, in the life of King Saul, there was a time that an evil spirit was troubling him. There was a time that the evil spirit was troubling him to the point he had no rest. How can a man in such a corridor of life, a king that of, could not have rest because the evil spirit was troubling him? He called forth his servants to find someone who can ease that pain for him. And that's when King David was brought to the rising. Why? Because there was a skill that he had. There was a skill of music, a skill of harmony, a skill that he had even with the instruments to bring forth what ease, to soothe King Saul's pain. And every time that he would play that instrument, immediately the evil spirit would depart from King Saul. Do you know that skill, that ability that was given to King David brought freedom to another? Brothers and sisters, there are people who have skills, abilities that will free you in any department of your life. There is someone who has the skill, that has the ability that will give you financial freedom, that will give you marital freedom, that will give you academic freedom. Our most esteemed is saying that that's why they have the ability. That's why they have the skill. That's why they've been given that talent. It's because for you to fulfill destiny, fulfill your God-given purpose. If King Saul was not given King David, who had this great ability, this great talent, do you know that King Saul would never be able to fulfill his great destiny on that throne with ease? He would have been troubled by an evil spirit that could have brought his death. That could have brought the death of a nation. Brothers and sisters, it was all in the life of a man who had a great skill, who had a great talent that brought ease, that brought freedom. You see, there's a talent that one can have. There's a skill that one can have. There's an ability that one can have that you need to encounter for you to finally have the freedom you need in your life. That's what he said. He called them the gifted. So there's a talent someone has that may be all the way in Dubai right now that is for you to fulfill your purpose. There is a skill, an ability that someone can have in the forgotten lands of your nation. Because whether you know it or not, at that time, King David, he wasn't a king at the time. Someone that one probably casted away at the time. Maybe even in the lands of the forgotten lands of Africa. That skill, that talent, that ability is what you need for your freedom. Our most esteemed is saying, recognize this. They're going to come with three things: skills or talent or abilities. And it's all for what? For you to fulfill your great purpose. If for anything, this should go and tell you that you're not alone in this. That in which you need freedom from, that there's more than likely someone in this land or in the lands that you shall encounter that has that skill, that ability, and that talent for you to finally be free. Now it's up to you to finally encounter them. Another uncommon destiny helper that our most esteemed brings to our acknowledgement today is burden carriers. You see, in the Force of Destiny, he explains a third type of uncommon destiny helper, the burden carrier. He said these people, they're released into your life to help you carry your burdens when the road to your destiny becomes rough and the burden becomes heavy. Brothers and sisters, there's a point we need to actually recognize in this. He said these people are released into your life. So that means that their even existence, they're on assignment for your life. He said these people are released into your life to help you carry your burdens when the road to your destiny. Our most esteemed Papa Joshua IGINLA is recognizing and acknowledging to us that surely the road to your destiny will have some bumps. He's telling us that sometimes it will become rough. He's telling us that sometimes the burden will be very heavy. For many of you that are even watching, there could be a burden that's upon you right now that seems very heavy. He's saying that you need a burden carrier. He said that these people are released on assignments for your life to carry that burden, because surely the burden will come.
Surely the heaviness will come. Surely it will come on the road to destiny.
But he explained something about these burden carriers. He said there's two things to recognize about them. They are faithful and they are available. He says they are faithful and they are available. All so that you can what? Fulfill destiny. These are the two characteristics that our most esteemed acknowledges are the characteristics that a burden carrier has: to be faithful and to be available. He says that they will stay they will stay with you till your glory is revealed. So whether you know it or not, there's a glory that can never be revealed until you encounter a burden carrier. Who are those burden carriers around you? Our most esteemed is bringing these uncommon destiny helpers so you can finally see. Yes, you may say you have eyes, but have you been able to see the burden carriers around you that are there to lift the burden off from you? Brothers and sisters, this is a message for one of you or many of you out there. Don't think you're going to do this alone. Don't think I can do this all by myself. Don't think that, oh, you know what? I can do this by myself. I don't need anyone's help. No, you do. You need someone to bring ease to your life. Because our most esteemed is recognizing and he's acknowledging to us. He's saying there's a time in your road to destiny that it will feel very bumpy. It will feel like, oh, I can't go on. It will feel like, oh, this thing is too heavy for me. It will feel like you will want to give up. He said you need a burden carrier. And in these burden carriers, they are faithful and they are available. When help is before you, recognize it. Our most esteemed is giving us the eyes to see uncommon destiny helpers. Because the people that are to bring you ease, they may be before you, but you cannot recognize them. In the book, The Forces of Destiny, in this chapter, is to open our eyes to see those who are around us and not to take it for granted. What is it to live a life? Many that have lived, they have died full of burdens. They have died heavy-hearted. They have died feeling as if no one is there for them. But our most esteemed is saying there are ones, there are people, they are crafted to lift up your burdens, to make sure that you don't die, to make sure that these burdens do not take you out, because surely the road will be bumpy. It will be. We come to tell you this road to destiny will be very bumpy. But what will happen? You will need burden carriers to lift the burdens from you. He said that they will stay with you till your glory is revealed. Your glory needs to be revealed. The glory of your household, your generation, of your finances and your academics needs to be revealed. Our most esteemed is telling us that. He said there are ones whose assignment is to stick with you till you accomplish your purpose. So these people are the ones that will continue on with you. They will not leave you. They will not stay with you in the beginning and not finish it out. No, he said they will stay with you till the glory of your life is revealed. Brothers and sisters, you think this is the best of your life? No, the best of your life is yet to come. And for it to finally be revealed, our most esteemed Papa Joshua IGINLA is saying there's a burden carrier that needs to lift that burden from you. The burden carrier needs to lift the burdens of your life so that you do not drown in it. He's saying that they are on assignment to stick with you until you accomplish it. They will not leave you. They will not leave you when times get hard. No, even when times get hard, that is more than ever when they are there for you. You see, brothers and sisters, you don't need just people who are there when life is sunny. No, you need people that are there when life is rough, when there are bumps in the road, when they can see you through all situations, to make sure you finally see that great destiny, that great glory that is upon your life. Our most esteemed also tells us that burden carriers, what? They are trusted people. They're trustworthy. You don't have to feel as if these ones, they will betray me. No, he said these ones are trustworthy. He said you can lean on them in times of trouble. So it's not for you to cry alone. It's not for you to feel as if it's all over. He said these burden carriers, they will lift the burdens from you, but you can lean on them. Why? Because they are trustworthy. You can lean on them. They will not use you as a spectacle on the road, telling all the issues that you have in your life where you feel as if, oh, I can't tell this person because you never know what people want from you. Many of you, you're probably thinking that now. No, I can't give anybody my burden before someone uses me as the next gossip in the town. The fact of the matter is that our most esteemed is saying, this is how you recognize them. They're trustworthy. Don't be afraid to lean on them, because they are there so that you can have stability. They are there to hold you up when times feel as if somebody pulled the rug underneath you. They are there to stay with you. They'll be there with you in times of trouble, and they are there with you even when everybody leaves. You know, there could be a point in someone's life, let's say even in a woman's life, a woman gets divorced or so forth, and everybody around leaves her, where she feels by herself, alone, doesn't know what next to do. You know what our most esteemed says? He said a burden carrier doesn't leave you when everyone's casted you out. You could be someone right now that has gone through a situation. Let's say right now financial hardship has come, and all those people who were there with you when you were doing well, when you were going to parties, when you were having a great time, when you were buying gifts for everyone, everything was good, right? It was beautiful, and people loved you. They said, oh, you're the best. You're the best person to be. You're my best friend in life. But how come when the financial world crumbled and all your stocks now crumbled to nothing, even your house got foreclosed, how come they all left? Because they're not your burden carrier. And you know what? In the midst of all that tragedy, in the midst of all that calamity, do you know there's still one that stayed? That's the burden carrier. The one when everyone stays, they're still standing strong. Have you recognized these ones, brothers and sisters? These are the uncommon destiny helpers in your life. You could be someone in ministry where, yes, if you think about it, our most esteemed Papa Joshua IGINLA, he tells the story of the ministry of Champions Royal Assembly. And whether you know it or not, brothers and sisters, it should be very encouraging to you. Our most esteemed said he had to close church 11 times. Whether you know it or not, that is not easy. It cannot be easy. It cannot be easy to stand up and go ahead and now what? Build another church. No, because you can remember the things in the past. But our most esteemed said, in the midst of that, church closed 11 times. But do you know many did also leave? But there were those who stayed. Brothers and sisters, even in the midst of it all, when many leave, because you know, in that situation, someone can say, oh, this man of God, are you sure he's called? Oh, mightily called. By the reason of him, we're all here to listen to this message and read his book, The Force of Destiny. That goes to show you God had a mighty destiny for him. Brothers and sisters, it's not to tell you, our most esteemed is telling you even from personal experience. He's saying that even when it feels as if it's time to end it, clock out, is over, I don't want to do this again. He's saying that there are people that are trustworthy that will be your burden carriers. That even when situations feel as if it's all closed in, there is one that will tell you it's time to move on. It's time to keep going. It's time to tread forward. It's time to lift you up. Even when you feel as if you can't stand any longer, they're holding your arm, standing, let's go. It's the next level. You see, brothers and sisters, in life, even with the experiences that our most esteemed had with church and the ministry, it was to tell you that his destiny wasn't small. His destiny was worldwide, global. It's the reason why Champions Royal Assembly worldwide is even in existence now. Who would have told him that 11 years ago, that many years ago, that when church closed down 11 times, that he would see this great and glorious destiny, which is Champions Royal Assembly worldwide. That even are here, bringing forth this book review, and many of you who are logged in, that are watching, will all be able to hear his message and be brought forth from the land of nobodies into the world of a somebody. That is what we have been able to experience. All because what? There were still those who are trustworthy, who he could lean on, who he was able to say, look, there will be a Champions Royal Assembly North America. There will be a Champions Royal Assembly Europe. There will be a Champions Royal Assembly Asia. There will be a Champions Royal Assembly Abuja, Champions Royal Assembly South Africa. There will be a Champions Royal Assembly throughout this world. Why? Because there are those who are trustworthy to tell you, look, it's not over. It's just the beginning. You see, whether you know it or not, Jesus experienced this to his great fulfillment, even in his own destiny. And maybe that's also the reason why John the Baptist was not able to see his great destiny as well. Who was there? You see, for Jesus, he explains, he said, these ones, they've been with me through my trials. He's basically telling us all. Even in Luke 22, verse 28, when he explained that the disciples, they've been with me through my trials, what he is saying to us is that, look, this road wasn't always easy, but there were people in the midst of it. These 12 disciples, they stayed with me. I can't give up on them. They were trustworthy. Even in times when you didn't see when I was down and out, they lifted me up. But sisters, the burden carries is what you need. Stop thinking you can do it by yourself, Miss Independent Woman, Mr. Independent Man. You can't do it by yourself. The fact of the matter is that right now it may seem like this is the end of the situation. No, God and our most esteemed are telling you it's time to move on. It's time to recognize these uncommon destiny helpers, these burden carriers, and let them be able to take that burden off of you. Don't do it by yourself. Jesus himself said he couldn't do it by himself. These great 12 disciples, they helped me in this journey, and I won't leave them aside. He said that he's come to the corridor where I can call them friends. Why? Because they've been able to see something. They've been able to see my trials and they didn't give up. They've been able to see my trials and they didn't mock me. They continued on. The people who can continue on are the burden carriers. They don't give up when it's the beginning. They don't give up when it's the middle. And they surely don't leave you when it's the end. They see you through it until you accomplish it all. Amen. Our most esteemed closes even by saying, receive grace to encounter your destiny helpers before the year ends. I receive it. Receive that grace to encounter your destiny helpers before this year ends. Brothers, we're halfway through the year. Our most esteemed is leaping us forward. He's saying that whatever happened in the beginning of the year, leave it behind. But right now and going forward, he's sending forth the angels of God to bring forth your destiny helpers. Even as your eyes have been opened and enlightened to see, now you'll be able to recognize it. More than ever, get this book. Make this a meditation in your life. With the force of destiny, even as you read this to yourself every day. Be able to recognize the people that are around you that will come into your path. Because even as he has brought forth this revelation, even as he has brought forth this word of prophecy, that means immediately, right now, they are being sent forth. They are coming to you in all directions. They will come from all sorts of lands. You will get all sorts of phone calls. Be able to recognize it. As you read this book, highlight it and say, I see that. This is what you were made to do in my life. So that you will be able to embrace these uncommon destiny helpers and make sure that they don't slip before your hands. Amen. Our most esteemed also brings forth to us another kind of destiny helper, uncommon destiny helper. It's called a ladder holder. If you've ever seen a ladder, brothers and sisters, you don't just climb the ladder like that. Sometimes you need someone to hold your ladder so that it doesn't get shaky, so that it can be sturdy, stabilized, rooted. He says that ladder holders are people who keep you grounded. They keep you grounded in your principles while you are fulfilling your destiny. You see, going forward, you'll see great things in your destiny, but he said you need those who will hold your ladder, tell you, look, humble you, keep you grounded, so that you're not taken away by the glitz and the glams of life, because life will be beautiful for us. We will see the glorious things of life, but who will be able to humble you, bring you forth, and keep you grounded so that you will not escape. This brings to mind a great man of God in the Bible called King Saul. Brothers and sisters, there's something to learn from King Saul. Why? Because if you see the origin, even the beginnings of King Saul, there was a man of God that he was brought to by his servant called Samuel the seer. Samuel the seer is someone that God set from Dan to Bathsheba. Every word from his mouth never fell to the ground. Whether you know it or not, King Saul, there's a testimony to receive in that, but there's a message that you need to listen to. Those people that God brings forth to you to lift you up, don't cast them out. King Saul felt so pompous. He came to a point, he saw the thrones of God authority. And you know what? He trashed it. He let it go. Why? Because he disgraced the man that God used to lift him up. Samuel the seer was the one that the words of the Lord was spoken into King Saul's life so that he wouldn't be a vagabond anymore.
Whether you know the origin of King Saul's life, as many of us know, he was looking for donkeys. Donkeys that we don't know were even ever there. His father was a very wealthy man, but the fact of the matter, he still didn't find him useful. He found him useful to only find donkeys with his servant. But the servant brought forth the counsel to him. He said, there's a man in this land that we need to go and meet. And his name is Samuel the seer. What do you know that Samuel the seer was the one that brought forth ease into the life of King Saul? He let him see the corridors of authority, of power. By the reason of the words of his mouth, King Saul, people that would never have even thought of King Saul as anything, they were able to recognize him and honor him. But do you know what King Saul did? King Saul rubbished him at the end. King Saul wasn't grounded. There was no one to keep him grounded and tell you, cool down, relax. Do you know who this man is in your life? There was no one to tell him where he came from, to bring him where he came from. There's a way that someone can see a journey and they say, look, I'm succeeding. If you want to ask me right now, I have a nice G-Wagon outside. I have a nice house. I'm beautifully married. I have 3 children. Do you know all of that can be in existence? You see my company, multi-billion-dollar company. Everything's going well. I look good. I smell good. Everything is good. But auntie, I remembered you back when you were working at McDonald's, when you were just 20, when you didn't know what could go on with your life. But the thing is that now that you arrived, even when you see people that spoke into your life, even when you see people who thought of you as something, even when you were nothing, you say, oh, these people, they're nothing, they're beneath me. Are they truly beneath you? You see, King Saul didn't have anyone to keep his ladder grounded, to tell him as you're rising, because that's what a ladder does. As you step further on a ladder, and most esteem is explaining, you need someone to hold the ladder still grounded in its roots to remind you where you're coming from. For many of you, you may have come to this great land of America, but we know where you're coming from originally. You could be from the forgotten lands of Africa. You know where God sent you from. You know where God took you from, and He brought you to this land. Now you so-called arrived that no one can talk to you. No one can speak to you now. No one who was once your friend can say anything. They say, oh no. We're not in the same corridor of life. Who brought you to that corridor? Amos Esteem said that kind of person, for them not to be overtaken by pride and by ego, they need someone to ground them. They need to be rooted, to hold them and tell them, look, as you're going higher, do not forget, let's be grounded. Let's remember where we're coming from. Let's not forget that things before were never good, but right now God has lifted us up. Let us be joyful and thank Him. Never forgetting what the one that God used to lift you up. For many of you, maybe there was one out there who helped you get your visa. Or there were those out there who helped house you when you had nowhere to stay. Now, when they ask to speak to you, maybe concerning a business proposal, you say, I don't have time. You that has all these arsenals to assist them, you say, I don't have time. Maybe another day, or you're dodging their call. But there was a time when you didn't have not one thing. You see, brothers and sisters, you need those who keep you grounded. Those who will be able to tell you, look, even as you're being lifted, even as you will see the runners of heaven, the greatest of glory on earth, you still need those to tell you, look, this life you're living as you're rising, remember who brought you there. Never forget. Amos Esteem says that they are the people who help you focus on your assignments. They also remind you why you're even rising up. The assignment that needs to be done. If you look at it, brothers and sisters, we'll talk about this. In the NBA or in a professional sport, for many of those who were, let's say, we'll use the NBA, for example. This is the National Basketball of America, Association of America. Many of you see the background of those who are in the quarters of the NBA who will become professional basketball players. If you see the quarters of their background, where they're coming from, a lot of them may be single-family homes, maybe, let's say, impoverished homes. And by the reason of the opportunity that was given to them, they were able to use a skill or a talent to bring them to that quarter of life. But brothers and sisters, Even as our most esteemed, he said, there are people who help you focus on your assignment. Do you know there are some still, even as they're brought to that quarter of life, do you know somehow, some way, they find themselves bankrupt? They find themselves back where they came from. Why? Because they weren't grounded. As they were being lifted, as they were stepping on the ladders of life onto different corridors, even by the reason of the talents, even by the reason of the opportunities in which the Lord brought forth to them so that they could rise up into the corridors of life. Do you know there was no one to ground them? That's why life became shakeable. That's why life wasn't steady anymore. That's why just by the reason of the second contract that they were hoping to get from that team, maybe from the Milwaukee Bucks, they couldn't get it. Why? Because eventually, as they were playing that last fourth quarter of the game, they now tripped. They now fell. Such a horrible fall that they broke the ACL. Now they said they can't play basketball again. But at the time you asked them, oh, what happened to the cash? They said, oh no, we squandered it. They couldn't remember the reason why they were there. The reason why God brought them to that quarter of life. The reason why they were sent on that assignment. The reason why they were meant to be a national basketball player. Now they're watching others fulfill destiny from a TV screen in a one-room apartment. You see, brothers and sisters, you need ladder holders. So not only that they will keep you grounded so that you won't fall a great fall. Because you know what the greatest fall is? When you're finally at the top and there was no one to hold you and keep you grounded in that. With that said, brothers and sisters, our most esteemed goes on further with different types of uncommon destiny helpers. But even by the reason of the few that we were able to bring to your attention today, listen to this. Step back and be able to recognize that there are uncommon destiny helpers that are around you, that are being sent towards you. By the reason of this book, The Force of Destiny, which you need to purchase, you need to be able to see this book, read it, and make sure that it becomes embedded in you so that you'll be able to recognize the destiny helpers that are before you and embrace them. If you would like to purchase this book, even as we come to a conclusion, brothers and sisters, we hope you were able to follow along with us wherever you are throughout the world, that you're able to follow along with us every Saturday at 11 a.m. We'll be going over a Joshua and Gilla book review. And even as we're going over the book, The Force of Destiny by our most esteemed Papa Joshua and Gilla, we definitely incline your indulgence to buy this book. It's a book that your destiny is yearning for. We suggest that you go and purchase this book on Champions Royal Assembly's website. You'll see this book is called The Force of Destiny. Go ahead and purchase it. Purchase it even for a friend. Purchase it even for your neighbor, your wife, your husband, your boss. They will be eternally blessed, even as we are all blessed. And join us live, like we said, every Saturday at 11 a.m. Our weekly broadcast with our hosts. Enjoy, even as we delve deeper into the uncommon truths that our most esteemed Papa Joshua and Gilla brings to us every week. Have a great one. Thank you all for joining. The rest of your life is the best of your life.